Yo, what is going on? Get Corner. This is your boy, Earth Mac, the mad scientist, and welcome back to the Orange Phoenix Media Channel and another episode of Saturday Morning Comics. Man, I hope you guys having an awesome Saturday, man. I hope you guys had an awesome week. You know what I'm saying, man? Because we got a good bit to talk about today, man. We got a good bit to talk about today, especially in the world of comics, and we got some announcements here, you know, for the rest of the year, going into the new year, and so on and so forth, and, you know, talk about what video games that we're playing, and obviously there's an open beta. There's an open beta this weekend, and I'm going to touch on that just a little bit, give you my personal review on that, and also telling you the upcoming comics that I'm going to talk about in the coming week, man. There's some comic book news as well, man. Like I said, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. And I know with that notification bell, there's a little drop down menu, and in that drop down menu, you hit all, and that way you get notified on all of our content, live or recorded. Speaking of which, we put out 2 videos this week. I just recently posted Mr. Terrific Year 1 issue number 5, and also DCKO number 1. So if y'all haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and share that with the masses. Go ahead and comment on it and let us know what did you think about those 2 comics that we actually reviewed. So man, it's gonna be a busy weekend, man, especially in the comic book reading spectrum. Now, if you haven't visited your LCS this week, today is a good day to go check it out, man. On a nice sunny Saturday, go out and just go to your LCS, man, and just hang out for like a few hours. You know what I'm saying? Just hang out for a few hours, man. Meet some like-minded individuals like yourself. Strike out some conversation, man. Get some air. Go out there, man. Go out there, man. Do your thing. Do your thing. So, a little bit of house cleaning here. I gotta let you guys know. Now, the issues of Orange Phoenix Magazine. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Orange Phoenix Magazine, it is a bi-monthly digital magazine, right? It comes out every other month. Now, this upcoming issue of Orange Phoenix Magazine will not be released, okay? It will not be released. I actually gave the staff pretty much the rest of the year off, man. They've been busting it, man. They've been busting it. They was going hard in the paint to the point of like burnout. You know what I'm saying? So for the rest of the year, you will not have Orange Phoenix Magazine. However, beginning of 2026, you will have Orange Phoenix Magazine, bigger, better than ever. So no, Orange Phoenix Magazine is not canceled. Okay, and if you are a Patreon subscriber, I know you guys are looking forward to the Orange Phoenix Magazine, but I will be putting stuff in there to supplement that that missing piece of Orange Phoenix Magazine. Now, also, this month we did release another edition of Orange Phoenix Magazine, and was the review of Raleigh GalaxyCon, right? So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. You are actually guaranteed that magazine. Or you can go to Amazon. If you go to Amazon, you can just type in Orange Phoenix Magazine, and you see all the issues that I posted on Amazon, and you can actually read it digitally on Comixology or on your Kindle. You can actually read a digital copy of Orange Phoenix Magazine. So you don't have to subscribe to Patreon. You can actually go to Amazon and actually buy a single issue and, you know, check it out yourself. Now, also, the other benefit of Patreon is to let you guys know that when we have videos, you do get first dibs on those videos before I post them on YouTube. So you actually going on out there. Now, I did visit my LCS this week. I did do that. So I got to let you guys know what did I do? What did I accomplish here in the LCS spectrum? So there's some back issues that I had to get, you know what I'm saying? So first off, obviously I had to get my physical copy of DCKO. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't order enough of them, so this is the first printing. Obviously the second printing is not out yet. And this thing is selling like hotcakes, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a big event by DC. And you definitely got to check out that video I put about DCKO number 1, man. Darkseid is a menace. Darkseid is a menace. That's all I can tell you. Darkseid is a menace. Now, there is another event that is going on in the Marvel world, right? And the other event is Age of Revelation, and that is kind of like a spiritual successor to Age of Apocalypse. And if you are familiar with Age of Apocalypse, that was a very good storyline that ran for a good little minute. And I think before that, I think Legion Quest, I think that led up to Age of Apocalypse. Y'all gotta correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a little minute since I read that, like the lead up events to Age of Apocalypse. But I know Legion was part of that. Now, Age of Revelation, I will tell you, like I said last week on Saturday Morning Comics, I was like, there's a high probability I won't read Age of Revelation, like Amazing X-Men and stuff like that. It just don't look interesting. However, there are some books though. There are some books that I am interested in, and these books are not directly connected to Amazing X-Men or what's going on with Cypher and stuff like that. But I can maybe it's standalone. I think that's the way to say it. I think it's more like standalone. So first thing I will be covering next week, let you know, is Rogue Storm. Okay, Rogue Storm, which is basically the synopsis is Storm lost her ever-loving mind, and Rogue and the X-Force is going to try to take her out. So there's that part. So that's all I'm gonna tell you. And Maria is the one that that is writing this. So if you are a fan of the Storm solo run, you definitely need to get Rogue Storm. This looks very, 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 very interesting. So I definitely will be covering this next week. Also in the Age of Revelation, we got Unbreakable X-Men. I did pick that up from the LCS. That's another comic I will be covering next week. So this is like 7 years, if I'm not mistaken, into the future of Uncanny X-Men, and Gail Simone is on this, right? And it is highly encouraged that you do read Unbreakable X-Men, man, because it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Rogue, Gambit, Gambit do some goat stuff up in here. He do some goat stuff up in here. Now, I did go into the independent comic side of things. I did do that. And what I mean by that is I did see this on Bleeding Cool. I did see this in Comic Book News. I did hear about this. I haven't cracked it open yet. I haven't read it yet. But this book is called Save Now, and it's by Matt Kennett, Thomas Giorello, and this is issue number 1. So think about it this way. You know how with like the latest like retro games, like Sega Genesis Classic and Super Nintendo Classic, and they got like save states, and you kind of like save your spot, and then you can go forward, and if something happens to you, you can go back to that save point. So this is what this comic is. So this character has the ability to create save points, like in real life. So he can, like, before he go into a building, he can hit a save state, right? And he can go forward. And if he dies or something like that, he can like rewind and go back to that point. But there's a side effect though. Like I think he gets older or something like that. Like it takes off age. So there's not like a clean slate type of situation. Like it is a side effect to it. So I haven't cracked it open yet, but I've heard good things about it. I haven't heard anything bad about it at all. So those are the comments that I picked up from my LCS. Shout out to Heroes and Dragons in Columbia, South Carolina. Really doing really good stuff. Shout out to York. There's also another comic book shop in 2 more in Columbia, South Carolina. Scratch and Spin is out there, and Cosmic Rays. So those 3 comic book stores, like you can't go wrong with either of those 3. So if you are in the South Carolina area, if you are in the Columbia area, you definitely want to go check out one of those 3 comic book stores. And if you are in the Florence area, there is a warehouse-like comic book store called Galaxy Comics. So you definitely want to check that out. Definitely want to check that out, man. I went there when I was like visiting SC, man. I had a time, man. I had a ball. I was in there for like 4.5 hours, and they give you a grocery cart, like a grocery cart. So you push the cart around to put your comic books in. That's crazy, man. It's like a warehouse for comics. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But anyway, so we got some news out here for you guys, man, and it just like the thumbnail here, and we talk about the comic book boom. Like, is it coming back? Like, comic book sales, physical copies of comic books, is it coming back? And the answer is yeah, man. And that's at the credit of the writers here, man. Let's jump into it. So it is said that in the UK, Circana Bookscan is reporting a slight decline in print book sales in 2025 compared to last year. Up to the 4th of October, print sales have slipped 0.9% year on year so far. However, sales of graphic novels have risen 0.7% in that time span. While in the USA, ICV2 CEO Milton Grip discussed the outlook of the future at New York Comic Con. He says last weekend, stating that the growth returned in comic book sales last year, with comics and graphic novel sales totaling $1.935 billion after growth in 2021 and 2022 with the fall of 2023 and 2024, and are up 73% from 2019. They state that the trend is continuing through 2025. Indeed, while sales in graphic novels rose in the UK bookstores, they dipped in US bookstores, while revenue in comic shops went up by 13.3% in 2024, and graphic novel sales increased by 1.3%, while floppy comic sales grew 12.2%. And now look at this. You know what's funny why they put this up there? The absolute universe and the ultimate universe deserves a lot of credit for this. They deserve a lot of credit for this, because this is like a new way of storytelling. Like Denise Camp, you know, you got Gail Simone, Araya, you got all these individuals on the absolute side of DC and on the ultimate side of Marvel. These books are selling like hotcakes, man. It's like a new way of storytelling, and it's great. It's great. Like, they are making waves in sales. Like, this is not by mistake that these books or these style of books are put up here when they talk about like the increase in sales when it comes to comic books. But to go further, it says Comic Hub POS system behind Bleeding Cool weekly bestseller list, which measured around 5 to 10% of the direct market, had reported that sales of 2025 were up 27% compared to the same period in 2024, when the 2023 to 2024 increase was 13.3% increase from 2023 to 2024. And they attribute to this new younger readers coming into direct market with DC's Absolute line, see what I'm talking about, and Marvel's Ultimate Comics and Image, Energon, and Invincible universes used as initial ways in. And those who grew up reading Japanese manga, American kids like Dogman or Korean webtoons have been discovering comic book shops. Gen X are the new Wednesday Warriors, group states, and there is a problem though, which is that the success is hampered by the fact that there are not always availability to comic book stores of the graphic novels they want to get. And I think there are two reasons for that. One, obviously the chaos in distribution that's been happening since the beginning of this year, obviously with Diamond Distributors. And then also just the surprise that publishers are experiencing in how well some of their books are selling. And so they're not necessarily prepared in terms of amount of inventory they have available. Now, there's a little bit of validity to that, because obviously, you know, let's go back to the 90s. Now, there was a comic book boom in the 90s, especially when the founders of Image Comics, which were all like Marvel guys, like some of the best artwork and writer you ever see, like in the 90s, they all did a mass exodus. They all left Marvel. And there's a documentary on that about Image Comics, and they walked across the street with the DC because DC thought, oh, they're coming to see us. And they're like, no, we're not coming to see you. We're creating our own stuff. And then when they created Image Comics, it was number 2. It was number 2. And DC was number 3. And Marvel was number 1. And that said a lot. And the fact that they were creating comics, the boom was so crazy that they had people lined up around the building at comic book stores waiting for just autograph signings. Crazy, man. I don't even think that could ever be duplicated. So when it comes down to, you know, underestimating sales, it's not because they don't have faith in their books or they don't have faith in, you know, the power of the story that they're trying to convey or the story that they're trying to tell. or it. But when you really think about it, people buy books digitally. I'm one of them. But I do both. I buy digitally and I buy physical. And I'm gonna peel back the curtain just a little bit. So when I do review like comic books, it's comic books that I do read digitally. But I do go to the LCS and buy those books physically because I want to support them in that way too. Now the thing is, also you got to credit what again the absolute storyline of DC Comics and the Ultimate Universe when it comes to Marvel Comics, because those comics are really, really good, especially Ultimate Spider-Man. I did cover Ultimate Wolverine. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. So you got to look at these variant copies. You got to look at like the artists that you meet at the comic book conventions, and also you got to credit not to toot your own horn, like content creators like myself, Blur Without Fear, Comics Explained, Dope Spill Comics, Casually Comics, like YouTubers. Like you got to credit like us YouTubers for that too as well, because between all of us collectively, I think Comics Explained got like 1.2, if not 2 million subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure the numbers, but it's over a milli. I know that. It's over a million subscribers. But when he put stuff out, it's so much enthusiasm behind the stories that he was telling that makes you go out to go to your LCS to go get a physical copy of that comic book. Blur Without Fear is no different. Don't Spill Comics, no different. Casually Comics, no different. Orange Phoenix, no different. Because, we get comments saying, like, we love your enthusiasm when it comes to reading comic books. And some of these individuals are people that stepped away from the comic book world like 10, 11, 12 years ago. And they're coming back to reading these comics. And also, it's so much access to it. Like, you got Marvel Unlimited, you got Comixology, you got Global Comics, you got DC Universe Infinite. You got so much access to this, so it makes you want to go out there and get physical copies of these comic books. Now, when it comes to graphic novels or compendiums or trades or whatever the case may be, you can get all that story in like condensed in one thick book. You know what I'm saying? So you got stuff like that. And also, with the amount of independent comics, I also credit independent comics as well, because there's a preconceived notion, like when you do read a comic book, you're always going to see like women or men in tights, like they're wearing capes and cows, and that's how they're flying around or whatever the case may be. This ain't the 40s, okay? There are several independent comics that are out there that are very, very mature and very, very grounded and great storytelling. And the fact some of this stuff is independent comics, they don't have any hangups. They don't have any red tape to actually go through. But if you're talking about the big two, though, you got to credit DC with the Absolute Universe, and you got to credit Marvel with the Ultimate Universe and what they got going on. And obviously, that's going to lead into another story that I'm going to tell you, too, because I got choice words about that. But, again, I mean, also, wait a minute. Talk about the Cheyenne and, like, the comic shop, right? She has a YouTube series called The Comic Shop. It's basically, if you like Abbott Elementary, if you like The Office, it's that type of format of storytelling, but in the comic book shop. Like, if you haven't seen Comic Shop, you need to go check out Comic Shop. So you got to credit that as well, because they're like, damn, I need to go to the comic book shop. Maybe I'm gonna have that same experience like I see on YouTube. Like, that makes you want to get up and go. And it's such a wonderful feeling to go to a comic book shop, man, because you get to talk to people that's like-minded like yourself. Obviously, you might have some spirited debates about certain things or whatever the case may be, but it's just a great feeling. And New York Comic Con actually showed it, man. You know what I'm saying? You got hip-hop artists that's in the comic book boom, and I hope the sales will continue to increase, because that lets me know something. That should let you know something. That should let you know that that should let you know that people are reading. People are reading. People are getting literary out here. You know what I'm saying? People are getting down with the reading. People are getting down with the words. People are understanding the stories that are being told. So I really do appreciate the fact that, this article is put out there. But again, you got to credit a lot of factors. You got to credit Marvel for the Ultimate Universe. which kind of brought people back. You got to credit the DC universe for the Absolute universe, and there's other stories outside of those universes as well. You got to credit the Energon universe and Image Comics on what they're being told, like with G.I. Joe and Transformers, and obviously the other indie comics like Thundercats and Gargoyles and Speed Racer. You got some stuff going on. The Herculoids, Space Ghost. People are coming back to actually read that. Also, you got to credit us YouTubers as well, because we don't just do it for show. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really do love the stories that we read. You know what I'm saying? We really do love the stories that we read. So credit to everybody that put forth the effort, man. That increase in sales is a good feeling. That is a great feeling to see increase in sales and people actually visiting comic book stores again. Now, also, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you, because it going to lead into it when it comes down to the Ultimate Universe, because I'm getting word that the Ultimate Universe in Marvel is ending. Like, listen, I don't know how true that is, but I'm hearing words that the Ultimate. Wait a minute. I'm hearing words that the Ultimate Universe is ending.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
We ain't doing it. So we got to go ahead and check this out, man. And Denise Camp explains why the Ultimate Universe is ending. And I mean, if you want to end on a high note, I fully understand, man. I fully understand. Now, it says that as New York Comic Con report by Popverse, a site owned by the owners of NYCC, has caused a bit of a stir regarding Marvel's ending of Ultimate Universe. Now, the article's headline, Ultimate Universe architect Jonathan Hickman didn't expect Marvel Comics to close the line down. Now, it cites that Marvel Comics president Dan Buckley on the Marvel Next Big Thing panel talking about Jonathan Hickman, saying that we were at one of those creative retreats and I was sitting next to him. And we were just talking, and he's like, well, we're finishing our stories and then you could do that. And I said, no, you're done. Buckley remembered I was by myself with John, and Jonathan's looking at me and he goes, what do you mean we're done? He said, we're shutting it down. He goes, why are we shutting it down? I said, it's the end, right? Turns out that even though Hickman had written a 2-year and done storyline, he didn't think Marvel would cancel the line after it was done. Buckley, however, felt that it was important to do so, and there's a lot of story being told here. You'll be able to take this journey, take the beginning, the middle, and the end, digest it for years to come, and be able to pass it on to the people and say, this is the experiment, this type of storytelling. We're allowed to do this, Buckley explained, arguing that allowing this incarnation of the Ultimate Universe to stand apart from anything before or after was important as a statement of creative intent. Now, what this article doesn't mention is that Dan Buckley says that this impressed Jonathan, but it has been taken by some online that in some way Marvel is screwing over Jonathan Hickman over this decision, going against his wishes. Ultimate Incursion writer Denise Camp wanted to set the record straight. Now, before we go with that, so in some ways I get it, in some ways I don't. And the reason I say this is goes back to what I said earlier with the other stuff. It goes back to the Ultimate Universe being a credit for Marvel sales and the Absolute Universe being a credit to DC sales. Like, you're going to cut off like some of your most successful runs in comics. Like, I mean, as far as Marvel's concerned, like, you cutting your nose to spite your face. You know what I'm saying? But I get what he's saying from an artistic standpoint. Like, yeah, you want to run this dry. You don't want to run this well dry to the point where people get tired of it, and then they're going to have a bad taste in their mouths when it comes to the Ultimate Universe, and it's going to end like a wet fart. Like, and I get it. You're trying to end on a high note, but I still feel a way about it. So the D's Camp says it's not fake news, but it's a sensationalistic headline that misses a lot of the nuance. It implies people are getting pushed out, which I don't think is the case from everything I've heard and everyone I've talked to. John just didn't think Marvel will be bold enough to do this. I'll go into it more later, but I hate that any other behind-the-scenes stuff is eating into people's excitement about the story. John is very supportive of and excited for this. I know that for sure. And he says, okay, the end of the Ultimate Universe, from my perspective, is true that the original plan was not to end the universe. A lot of my run is setting up characters I hope will go on past me. Now, I think I made that clear and obvious, but John was ending his run at 24, and that was always the case. He was done. Peach, Momoko, Brian Edward Hill were both ending their stories when the Maker got out as well. That was their decision. According to what I've been told, my interactions with them, and it makes sense. Think about it. Peach is writing and drawing every issue for 24 issues. That's insane. She works like 20 hours a day on that book. No joke. She's the hero of this line, and she deserves a break if she wants one. Wolverine was only meant to be 12, then it got extended to 16. The other creators were offered more issues to run alongside Endgame, but they declined. I saw that happen. The only person who planned on continuing was me. Initially, still very early, those books were going to end at those creators left, and Ultimates would have continued in the new books launched. I was pushing for Hawkeye, Guardians was discussed, and this was all very vague, but then Will Moss came to me and said, hey, I think we're going to end it. End it. This was a long time ago, at least a year before I now think, but I have to check. Not because the books are too woke. If it were that, they interfere with the writing of it, which they haven't, or because the main line is jealous. This is silly. Money is money to them. But because everything seemed to be coming to a natural conclusion. Now, on a creative standpoint, I get that. It's like, okay, the Maker is coming out and it's gonna be a problem. And obviously the Maker ultimately will be defeated. But obviously there's gonna be some loss in that. But we see how it goes. But man, 20 hours a day? Woo! Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. 20 hours a day working on 24 issues. And I can see where burnout is a concern when it comes to this stuff. So, and there's several creators that went through this, like Jonathan Hickman, especially when it came down to Spider-Man. I did pick that up. On a worker standpoint, I understand. Also, with the Maker coming back out, when this ends, what is next after that? Like, is there something else after this? Like, if the Maker's defeated, will you just continue on with your lives? Like, will you just continue on with the storyline or whatever the case may be? I'm a little conflicted. I'm not even going to, I'm a little conflicted. I understand from a worker standpoint, like, you need a break. Like, you want to work on other projects. That I completely, 100% unequivocally understand. But again, Ultimate Universe is like the centerpiece of the success that Marvel has, like, in this day and age. Like, but obviously Gail Simone is doing her thing in Uncanny X-Men and so on and so forth. Like, shout out to Gail. But I'm gonna really miss Ultimate Universe. But I feel like it's not soon, but it's gonna come out. And man, listen, when that compendium come out, yo, like, obviously it's gonna be an Ultimate, like, Universe compendium. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like some type of trade or something. You know, I need hardback cover. You know what I'm saying? I need hardback on the Ultimate Universe because that's some of the best storytelling that is out. And to some degree, Buckley is right. Like, they can go back and say, you know what? This was a fun time in Marvel. Like, this what is called the Ultimate Universe. And in the Ultimate Universe, things is different. Like, the Maker created this thing, and like, Reed Richards is the bad guy. You got Ultimate Hawkeye. You got Ultimate X-Men. Dope. You know how dope the Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy would have been? Like, I would have read that. I would have gotten around to reading that, man. I'm like, who would be a part of the Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy? I would have loved that. Man, you should have just said that. You could have, you know what? You could have just kept that in your pocket, Denise. You could have kept that. You know what I'm saying? Now you got me thinking about what you could have done. Now, also to this, he says they felt they had something special with the universe as it was. Consistent creative visions that told their stories and had a clear beginning, middle, and end, and accessible, creative forward reimagination of the Marvel Universe, a version of the never-ending story that ended, and that the purity of that vision. They thought / think could pay dividends for a long time after if it didn't overstay the welcome, dilute it, or fumble the ending. Yes, I have plans for stuff coming after, continuing this world, and part of me was bummed about that. But in my heart, I think I knew that they'd be lesser. Moreover, for me, the Ultimate Universe had been a place for trying new things in comics, radical things, whether it's the real-time pacing or the radical interventions of Marvel characters or the formal play that have characterized my run. That's what excited me about the Ultimate Universe. It excites me still, and this really truly ending the universe on a high note, having it be this contained thing, giving a story an end, that's radical for Big Two comics. It's something that, the best of my knowledge, has never been done on this scale by Marvel or DC. That is exciting to me, and I hope it's exciting for you. And he says, but I don't mean to tell anyone how to feel about any of this. I don't want to speak for anyone. Perhaps I've been misinformed or feelings have changed. I don't know. But this is how it is from my perspective. It's been awful to see people hurt by this, which is why I wrote this thread. But very moving, like I said. I don't want to tell anyone how to feel, but I also don't want them to feel bad for wrong reasons. It's not dumb at all. It means so much to me. I'm sure everyone that people care about this. What I keep trying to get across is that feelings are complex. I'm sad it's ending too, as I'm sure Peach, John, etc. are. It's good to care about things. It's beautiful. Fix the world. And I just want to encourage everyone to make whatever you want with this symbol and this message. It's a real honor to see it around, and very much in spirit of the book that everyone is doing their own thing with it. This is all very Marvel unapproved, as it should be. So, so if you look at this, I have a better understanding. I feel like you should have a better understanding as well. If you look at the great storytelling that is the Ultimate Universe, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, they've been putting out some real good gems out there, like really good gems. So to have a story that's ending and not continuing after, and it goes back to what I said earlier, like overstaying your welcome, fumbling the bag, ending on a wet fart, like that type of situation. Yeah, I fully understand. Like, let's end this thing on a high note. Let's do the George Costanza. Like, oh, you happy? All right, I'm gonna slide. I'm gonna get out here while you happy. That way you can have a lasting memory of how awesome the Ultimate Universe is. And hopefully, I will say how that translates to the main continuity of Marvel. I hope that this level of storytelling translates over to the main continuity of the Marvel Universe, like outside of the Ultimate Universe. Like, once the Ultimate Universe ends, I hope this continues to translate over to the main Marvel Universe as far as comic books is concerned. Like, I know eventually, at some point or another, like it hasn't been announced, but it's just me guesstimating. I feel like the Absolute Universe will possibly end at some point, right? And hopefully it ends on a high note, because so far when you talk about the Absolute Universe, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Wonder Woman, like, those books are phenomenal. Like, those books are great. Like, Darkseid is in the writer's room. Oh, excuse me. Darkseid is in the writer's room doing his thing out here. You know what I'm saying? Figuratively speaking. Doing his thing. Darkseid is like, you know what? Let's make this person struggle over here. Batman especially. And obviously, let's create the Justice League, but not the Justice League that you know. Let's create the Justice League that consists of the Joker and Thawne and Ra's al Ghul and Hector Hammond. You know what I'm saying? Let's put that out there for the people to see, and let's hunt these people down. That kind of thing. But hopefully Absolute Universe continues to be a success on the DC side of things, Ultimate Universe ending. But, man, I need a thick book that has all the Ultimate stuff in it. You know what I'm saying? All the Ultimate stuff in it. The Ultimate Universe, man. Because I can't speak highly enough about it. To be honest with you, I can't speak highly enough about it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. But we know it's going to end on a high note. That's just my estimation. The great storytelling that is the Ultimate Universe, I feel like this is going to ends on a high note. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, when you close that book up, you're just gonna lean back. You're like, dang, that was good. That, like, sit back and reflect. You know what I'm saying? Like, sit back in your chair, your couch, or recliner, and be like, dang, man, they really cook with this one. They always have. They really, really, really cook with this one. They really cook with this one. So, I know y'all guys to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell, man. You already know what time it is. Now, one thing I will tell you about video games these days, like this weekend, we got an open beta of Art Raiders. And I have been playing Art Raiders. I played it a little bit, played it a couple hours last night. And I must say, it's impressive. I like it. I really do like it. Like, it is a looter shooter. But I feel like it's unlike anything I have played as far as a looter shooter is concerned. I feel like this is different. Because if you haven't played Art Raiders, if you don't know what Art Raiders is, Art Raiders is set in the same universe as the finals, right? But you're not doing like finals gameplay or anything like that. You basically are a scavenger. You a scavenger. And you go out with a team or alone, and you basically scavenge for parts. You scavenge for like junk and all kinds of things. And you have to duck like these drones or these robots that are around in this area, right? But also ducking them, you got to duck other raiders too, which is PvPvE. That kind of situation. Now, they got a choice to make. They got a choice whether to fight you and take your stuff, literally. So whatever you took with you on this excursion, if you do lose, they will take everything. Your guns, they will take all the stuff that you found, like the rare stuff that you found. They will take all of that stuff. And when you wake up, you are cleaned out. You are robbed. So you got to be very thoughtful and methodical before you going out into the wilderness to go scavenge for things. Like, do you take the bare minimum and put yourself at risk, or you arm yourself to the gills and still like roll the dice, and hopefully you will live to tell the tale. You know what I'm saying? Like, ultimately. So I can tell you, I got rated 3 times. You know what I'm saying? I got rated 3 times straight. And but one critique I will say though, what Art Raiders need to fix, if you are playing like the console version or whatever the case may be, there is like input output issue. Like, they can hear me on the boom mic, but they're being heard on the television set. Like, you hear them on the TV, not through your headphones, not like voice chat audio. Somehow, some way that's messed up somehow. So they have to fix that. It's like an input output issue with Art Raiders. Hopefully they fix that today, because that seems to be a little bit of an issue. Also, the unique feature in the voice chat is that it gives you in-game voice. What I mean by that is, if you are in an area where there's a lot of echo, as you're talking, it's going to echo. Your voice going to echo through the mic for them. You know what I mean? Or if I'm scavenging through some things, like if I'm like prying open a door, they will hear it. That kind of thing. Like, it's very theatrical in that way. And I feel like that's a unique feature with Art Raiders. So very, very good. It got this 80s type of feel to it. It's similar like beats to the Stranger Things kind of thing. Like the colors and like just how it looks, you know, like the aesthetic. Very 80s like. So very good game so far. Very good game so far. As a matter of fact, I'm about to go play that once I finish with this, man. You already know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. Ladies and gentlemen, like I told you, be on the lookout next week, because we're doing Rogue Storm and we're doing Unbreakable X-Men. Unbreakable X-Men and Rogue Storm will be coming out. If you haven't checked out our past 2 videos, check out our Mr. Terrific video and check out our DCKO #1 video as well. And we got a good bit of comics to actually read, okay? We got a good bit of comics to read. I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome Saturday. And you know what I told you? Go visit your LCS. Go visit your LCS. Go ahead and put some things on your pull list. All right? So until next time, y'all, peace.